It's another episode of Your Daily Scrum.
Your Daily
I'm
Scrum.
Ryan. Your Daily Scrum.
I was just trying to echo you.
Nice try. It's Ryan Ripley and Todd Miller, professional Scrum trainers with Scrum.org, co-authors of Fixing Your Scrum, Practical Solutions to Common Scrum Problems, and the trainers at the Agile for Humans training company, the premier training company on the planet. That's probably pretty bold, isn't it?
Yeah. What's up, everybody?
All right, so Your Daily Scrum, it's driven by your questions. And so we have a new one that came in today that we really want to, this one was big. We really had to kind of pare this down a bit.
Yeah.
What's the difference, Todd, between a product backlog and a sprint backlog? Go.
Yeah. So I know for all of you more senior Scrummers out there that this might be obvious, but what this question brings to mind to me is that, we talk about this a lot. We need to maybe burst our Scrum bubbles a bit and come to the agreement that not everybody knows what Scrum is. And so there is a major difference between the product backlog and the sprint backlog, but we should not assume that everybody knows what that is. Right? Burst the Scrum.
Burst the bubble.
Exclamation ×4.
But yeah, there are some differences here that I think are, this is asked a lot. And so I think it's important to, let's drive into some key differences. I think we have two big ones. And then perhaps in future videos, we'll build on some of the similarities as well.
Yeah.
The first one here, Todd, the product backlog represents the future, while the sprint backlog represents the present. Can you unpack that just a little bit?
Yeah. So if you think about the product backlog, this is a list of everything that we might do later in the product. Everything.
Might do.
Right? It's ordered. It's constantly changing, right? It's a list of everything that we might do in the future, but we haven't planned to do any of it yet.
Right.
And how about you with the sprint backlog? Do you want to take that?
So the sprint backlog, on the other hand, it represents the present. It's all the things that the developers have decided are going to end up in the current sprint in order to achieve a sprint goal. Right? So it's all the things that they intend to do. They're not committed to. It's not promised. The sprint backlog is emergent and changes just like the product backlog, but this is what we intend to do during this sprint in the moment in order to achieve a sprint goal.
We have
so it's
explicitly planned, right?
Right. We've planned this. It's a subset of the product backlog, but it is a separate thing. I think there's another difference here that really, we could spend many videos on this, but let's start at the high level and maybe we'll zero in future discussions. The product backlog is owned by the product owner, while the sprint backlog is owned by the developers. What do you think about that, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I think I'll just keep talking about the product backlog, right? Because, I started there and I think I'll keep with that. The product, so we have these accountabilities in Scrum. The product owner's job is to maximize the value of what the developer is going to be working on, maximize the value of the product, right? And they do so by representing their thoughts, their ideas, all the conversations they've had, requirements in the product backlog. Now, I had mentioned before that the sprint backlog, we have explicitly planned for this sprint. That doesn't mean that we can't have some kind of overarching plan, and that would be in the product backlog. That should be updated all the time. The product owner is doing that. So just keep in mind, though, that the product owner is the person that is managing and updating and ordering this product backlog, right?
Yeah, the sprint backlog, on the other hand, it's stuff that the developers have pulled into a sprint in order to achieve a sprint goal. It changes, it emerges. The developers update the sprint backlog as they learn about the work during the sprint. But the ownership is on the developers. It's the developers' job to keep the sprint backlog refined. It's the developers' job to keep the sprint progress towards the work on the sprint backlog up to date, visible, transparent, all those great things. The ownership is at the developer level. And so I think those two different levels of ownership, of accountability, I think is really critical to understand as well, that they are two very different things.
Yeah, and I know both of us want to dive way deeper into each one of these because there are complementary, commitments. I shouldn't say complementary. They're not complementary. They're required commitments to each one of these, the product goal and the sprint goal. But those, I think, are very long videos in and of themselves. I think that probably we've done.
Todd, let's use empiricism here.
Mm-hmm.
So every listener out there, the comment section is below. If there's an aspect of this you'd like to ask about, leave your question. If there's other areas, if you want to hear more about sprint goals and product goals and how those interplay with the product backlog and sprint backlog, you have a question around that, leave it below. And who knows, your question may end up in a future episode of Your Daily Scrum.
Your Daily Scrum.
All right.
Did I get the echo better that time?
That's nice. All right. So that is today's episode. We hope that was helpful. We hope the distinctions will help you explain perhaps this better to your teams, or perhaps it's just a good refresher. In any case, we hope you got some value from it. If you did, smash that like button.
Smash it.
There you go. Good echo. And subscribe to the channel, right? All of our socials are there. Feel free to drop us a question on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Agileforhumans.com is a great site to find more information about us, classes, the book, Fixing Your Scrum, and all the things that we have to offer. But you know what? Most importantly, thank you for watching. You know, we love providing these videos. We love the fact that you keep responding with questions. Keep that going, right? And tomorrow we might be answering your question. Have a great day.